You are listening to episode 2 of the Ninh Giang English Club podcast. My name is Diệp, and in this episode, we will gain a deeper insight into a word that we hear a lot, red flags, and the reasons why we need to get rid of this. First of all, what are red flags and where do red flags derive from? A red flag is a warning sign of potential danger or possible disaster that can happen. In popular culture, red flags are often used as metaphors for certain people, relationships, or situations that you should be wary of. For example, a boyfriend or girlfriend showing emotional abuse would be considered a red flag. This phrase originates from the history of red flag culture. In the 18th century, red flags were seen as a sign of danger. In order to explain the use of red flag warning, this is the color with the longest wavelength of all colors, so it seems to be scatterless. Therefore, anyone can see it at a distance or in bad weather conditions such as fog or rain. Second, red flags in relationships. Afterward, red flags have been being used more widely in communication as the slang of the saying, be wary or beware. However, love is the context in which this word has been most frequently used. The posts that appear when you Google red flags are typically lists of warning indicators in relationships that you shouldn't ignore. Red flags in relationship can take many different forms, from having divergent opinions to an adversary displaying poisonous habits. For instance, author Mark Manson points out all of the following red flags: constantly attributing failures to the past, insinuation and passive aggressiveness, utilize the relationship as a springboard to criticize or threaten the other person. The other one is willing to hurt you. Blame your partner for your feelings, lack of trust, skepticism, and jealousy. Resolving disagreements with material things. People search for red flags in relationships other than love, such as in friendships or at work. Thirdly, why shouldn't you ignore red flags? Knowing how to identify those warning signs in a relationship is extremely important. It's no exaggeration to say that paying attention to them can save our lives. You could choose to either work through the problems or simply just walk away from the toxic relationship before it drains your energy and happiness. I've heard many people say, I'm okay with this relationship even though I notice some red flags, because they make that person and our relationship more interesting. I respect everyone's opinion, but if you don't want to endure the pain of getting stuck in the relationship, then the wise thing to do is to avoid it before it starts. The last one is advice. Besides teaching update on, you should also consider the positive aspect, green flags, instead of merely concentrating on raising red flags about everything. Every human being will have red flags, whether consciously or unconsciously, because red flags result from our selfishness and from times when it can't control our minds. However, if we are willing to acknowledge and adjust our own red flags over time, green flags will eventually replace the other red ones. Each person should form their own green flags to establish positive relationships with everyone. And that's the end of our podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Also, please don't hesitate to tell us which topics you would like us to cover in future episodes. Thank you for listening.